Hey everybody, Mr. Fortin here. Sorry for the weird angle, and also sorry it's taking a while to get this video out, but I said I would film it because we're right at the beginning of the year. It's one of our first homework assignments, and you might have kind of forgotten working with equations a little bit. And this is rule of four practice, so you're given the equation in this one. We really haven't talked about equations too much. And it says here, I want to make sure you read it. Use the equation y equals 2x plus 3 to make a graph, table, and tile pattern. So those are the other three representations. Of course, tile pattern, that's just going to be sort of a diagram, kind of like we had in the rumors task, where we were using tiles to show how many people knew the rumors. Okay, so we can kind of think of the tile pattern as kind of the situation, visually, what it looks like in terms of a diagram. Okay, where x is the figure number and y is the number of tiles. Okay, so one thing on your graph that you could do real quick to make your work A plus here is that you make your y-axis. Okay, remember it's x, and then this is y. You throw up your hands and say y. Y goes up, down. So there's my y. And I'll make my y be the number of tiles, and I'll make my x be the numbers. And here's my x-axis again. This is going to be the number, the figure number. Okay. And we're sort of given the figure numbers over here: figure 0, figure 1, figure 2, figure 3. So we don't really have to go that far. I might just skip over, maybe, like, I'll go by threes because there's lots of space. They really want us to go to really like 3 or so, it looks like. So 1, 2, 3. I'll make this 1. Okay, so I have here figure 0. Of course, this is something called the origin, right? Where our x value is 0. Also, our y value is 0 here. Special point in the graph where our two axes, our x-axis and y-axis, converge and they meet right here, they intersect. Okay, so I'm gonna go over 3. There's 1. I'm gonna go over 1, 2, 3. There's 2 for our figure number. Go over 1, 2, 3. There's 3. And why the heck not? We'll keep going. 1, 2, 3. There's 4. And then 1, 2, 3, there's 5. Sure, that's gonna be enough to graph. Okay, so we'll see what, like, the first 5 figure numbers look like in terms of their number of tiles. We'll get to all that later. Okay, so I have this equation, and another thing they're saying here too. Let me read this. We have to label the y-intercept, the starting number, and the slope growth in each representation. I'm gonna give you this one for free here. Let's maybe do the growth in green. So here, if you haven't worked with equations much, the slope growth, that's this front number right here. Okay, that's this front number. Y equals mx plus b. We'll talk about that in chapter 2, but a lot of folks have worked with this already. The number in front of the x here, y equals mx plus b. The m here, we'll talk all this in chapter 2. It's kind of weird. But this here, this 2 here is my growth number. And you're going to see that growth number as we analyze this throughout all of my representations. Okay, so I'm going to label a growth in my equation. My growth number is right there, and I'm going to label my starting number. Okay, and maybe I'll use red for my starting number. Label the y-intercept, the starting number in each representation. So there's my growth number in my equation. Here, this my other number. Well, the one next, not next to x. That's gonna be my y-intercept. All right. There are some shortcuts there. There's some shortcuts you might know of from middle school. If not, we'll tackle them in chapter 2 about how you can sort of graph this very quickly, knowing my y-intercept here is at 3 and my slope is 2. Okay, but I'm not going to go through that right now because I think what's easiest to do with this problem is to actually start with the table. Okay, table is definitely the easiest. And why is it easiest? Okay, if you've worked with tables at all, you might have called them input-output tables. Okay, here's kind of an input-output table. I'll kind of put this one down. So here we have x, which is my figure number, and here we have y, which is the number of tiles. Okay, if you gotten to the end of the task on Friday, you would have worked with problems like this. If not, well, we'll just do it together. Let's just use this problem to sort of like fill out a table here. Okay, so the question is to figure out an XY input output table. If I were to say to plug in 0 for x right here, okay, let's look in this here. I plug in 0 for x. I have to do this on your paper, but I plug in 0 for x right here. I would still have y over here with my equation. I would still have that 2 in front, and I would still have this plus 3 hanging out right here. Okay, so my input output table, I input 0 for x, and then I got to figure out what y is. Well, what does this show me here? I got 2, and when I say parentheses, what does parentheses mean? Parentheses means multiply. Okay, so I have 2 times 0, that's 0, plus 3. Well, 2 times 0 would just equal 0. So I'd have that plus 3 left. That equals 3. So my y here equals 3. Okay, when x is 0, y equals 3. Had trouble following that one? Let's do kind of another one. Let's see another one here. So what about when my x is 1, for instance? Okay, when my x is 1, for instance. My x is 1, well, y equals 2 times by x. Okay, I'm going to plug in 1 here instead. And then I still have 3. Like the rule for this relationship, the equation for this relationship of some tile pattern that we haven't talked about yet, we haven't seen yet, is 2 times by whatever the figure number is. And then you add 3 to it. Okay, so here I got 2 times by 1. Now you just figure it out. Use your PEMDAS rules, order of operations. 2 times by 1, that's 2. Add 3 to it, and I get 5. There it is. There's 5 right there. Okay, just keep going with it, just for a few rows here. So if x is 2, how about this? If x is 2, then I'd have 2 times by x. Well, x is 2. Let me figure out what my output is. My corresponding y value is going to be 2 times by 2 is 4, right? This is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. I still have the plus 3 there. Okay, 4, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 3 equals 7. I have 7 right there. Okay, what are you noticing about this table? There's something you should notice about the table. Well, how's the pattern, right? Pattern. Well, I'm labeling my growth now here. Check this out here. Slope growth here. Remember this? We did this on Friday here. We labeled growth. On the left side, how are my numbers growing? Well, I'm choosing going up by 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going up by plus 1 on the left side, plus 1 on the left side. What am I going up by on the right side here? Is there a pattern? Well, to get to 3 to 5, we would have to add 2 to 3 to get to 5. What about this? 5 to 7? Add 2 to it. So you see here, this growth number in the equation here was 2. We should also see that growth number there in the table, plus 2 right there, okay? That is a representation that we can pretty much have it be done. We're just doing a few rows of this. So if I add plus 2 to this again, I would get 9, but I could also do that in my head. If x is 3, then my y here would have to be 9 because 2 times 3 is 6 plus 3, well, that equals 9. And there we go. We have our table. Table's taken care of here. Okay, now that I have these points, I would then recommend putting it in the graph. Let's see what this sucker looks like on a graph, shall we? Okay, I went over 3 and I counted it as 1 on this side here. Here, I got to get a little bit higher. I got to get to about 9 or so. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, okay? So I got to get to 9. I'm not going to scale by 2s because, if I scaled by 2s, I wouldn't have enough to get to 9, right? 15 divided by 2 is less than 9, actually, right? There are 15 rows here. So if I split them in 2s, I'd only have 7.5. I don't be able to 7.5. So anyways, if this is 9 and I have 15 rows, 9 is already more than half of the rows that I have. I'm just going to have to scale by 1s here, okay? So in my y-axis, I'm going to go up by 1. So 0, of course, is the origin right here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and graph this out. So I just graph out these points here. When x is 3, right, my y value is, when x is 0, my y value is 3, right? That's this point right here. This is the point. X is 0 here on my x-axis. Y is 3 here, right? So this point, this coordinate pair has the coordinates 0, 3. Hopefully you've seen the coordinates kind of like that in the past. Okay, next one up, we have 1, 5. When x is 1, we got to go up to 5 on the y-axis, okay? So here, when y is 5, right here, x is 1, okay? So I have another point right here, okay? And I can even mark the point if I want to. It shows me you're being very thorough and very thoughtful. Okay, 1, 5 right there. When x is 2, y is 7. 2, 7. Okay, when x is 3, y is 9. And there we have it. We have ourselves a little graph. What does it look like? What does it make on a graph? Is it straight or is it not so straight? Yeah, it's a straight line. So this is definitely a linear relationship. What you can do is you can actually connect them. Might kind of show you the trend with these points. Okay, might show you the actual line itself. There it is. It's nice and straight. There we go. There's my graph right there. There's my graph. You can put some arrows at the end if you want to. You don't have to in this instance. Okay. So I labeled my slope in the table here I haven't actually labeled it on the graph. Okay, slope, growth in each representation. So kind of doing, I'll do the slope first, and then we'll do the y-intercept afterwards. Okay, to get the slope here in the graph, remember, what did I have to draw when I did this in class on Friday? Okay, describing slope here. I had to draw something called slope triangles. Okay, let me make this a little bit thicker so you can see a slope triangle a little bit better. Okay, so what I'm drawing here for the slope here, okay, something called slope triangles to describe the slope here. So I go up and over, connecting the points. Up and over. Okay, it's something called rise over over run. Okay, and I can even label that up to show you that the growth numbers are actually the same on the graph as we had our representations. Graphs will be very important for us to look at this year. Tables are very important as well, but graphs especially. Okay, and I see my growth number here. So if I do this, I keep doing this between the points. And I just do these three right now. You notice that when I go connect the points like this, rise over run, rise over run, rise over run, always go up 2, right? So here I get from 3 to 5. That's a change of +2, okay? For every one figure number. Look, from 0 to 1, that's a change of +1. So here, 2, as tile length, as number of tiles increased by 2, that meant the figure number increased by 1. Okay, number of tiles increased by 2, the figure number increased by 1. Figure number increases by 1, that means the tiles increased by 2. So that's sort of what this communicates to us here. That my figure number increased by, well, when I went from 2 to 3, my figure number went up by, sorry, my tiles went up by 2 because it went from 7 to 9, okay? Then there it is, right? There it is, the growth in the graph. I got my graph here. I got my slope shown. I'm good to go. I got my table. I got my slope shown down here. Okay, last thing, tile patterns. Well, what do you do here? Well, if you're not familiar with this, just do a little diagram. Here, this is all you're going to do. I got figure number 0. What might that look like? Well, figure number 0, how many tiles that I had? I have 3. Okay, we did algebra tiles the other day with the rumors task. So maybe just draw out. Sometimes it's nice to put them next to each other. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's figure number 0. How is this figure growing? Well, it's growing by 2 every single time. So when I have figure number 1, well, my pattern is I still have that starting number. 1, 2, 3, and I picked up 2 more. Something like that. Okay, that might be figure number 1. Well, what about figure number 2? I had 5 at figure number 1, so I'll put that 5 down. Okay, and I picked up 2 more. So what do I have? I have 7. I have 7 total down here. Okay, what about this one here? Figure number 3. Okay, well, I had 7 previously. Now I have 9. So I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 2 more. Okay, I have 9 right there. So that's sort of the idea. We want to actually visually see this thing growing, this tile pattern thing here. Okay, did I put the slope? Did I put the growth in this one here? Well, I can show you how to do it. Okay, I started with these 3. The way we can show it just an entire pattern is, well, let's show the change. Okay, remember, slope is just the growth number. The growth. What do we grow by? We grow by +2. Okay, +2. These guys, these are the new ones on here. We had 5 down here. These are the extra ones that get to 7. We have 7 right here. Well, there's my 7. These are my next 2. Okay, so I'm going by +2 every single time. There it is. There's the growth. Okay, so this is like A+ already. A++ is we're also showing the y-intercept here. Okay, that's my starting number. So I'll go do that very quickly in all 3 of these, and then maybe this video will be good to go. Maybe I'll cut it out here. Okay, so my y-intercept here, starting number, boom. Okay, I go to my y-axis. Where does this graph, this graph here, this line touch my y, my vertical axis here? Well, it touches it at 0, 3. Okay, 0, 3. Right? It touches it right there. Okay, that's my y-intercept. Okay, starting number. Started at 3, and then we grew by 2 every single time. This pattern increased by 1. Okay, where's my starting number here? Well, that's when I had figure 0. So the lowest that I have here was 3. Well, there it is. There's my starting number. Okay, there's my y-intercept, or starting. Okay, and then what about in the tile pattern? How can I show my starting number? Well, it's the original 3, the OG 3. There we go. Okay, there's my y-intercept right there. All right, and that is just about it. I think maybe you can watch this video, you can get something out of this. I think this was the harder one. This one was a little bit easier because you actually did have the points here. So the only thing that might be kind of hard is coming up with the equation. So maybe we can talk about that real quick. Equation here to get it, all you would need is your growth number. Here, this is +4 every time that x increases by +1. So that's my growth number is 4. Okay, growth number here is 4. So I know my equation is this. Darn it. Get through. My equation is this. My equation is, remember, something we'll study here is y equals mx plus b later this year. M stands for your slope, and b stands for your y-intercept. And so that means my equation here is going to be y equals, well, what's my pattern? What's my pattern? Well, we're going by +4. So it's y equals 4. There's my slope goes. And then I have x plus, and let's talk about starting number. Where's my starting number? My starting number is the very first one. It figure 0, right? Where we begin, we figure 0. It's a brand new pattern, hasn't started yet, right? We're at figure 0. This is what we start with, and then it started growing by +4. I add on 4 each and every time. So here, my y-intercept here is at, that's what I'm doing in red, is at 2. So my equation here is y equals 4x plus 2, okay? If I were to quickly do it's just really easy to do tile patterns here. Yeah, just do it. Just stick on, figure 0 has 2 tiles. Figure 1 has 6. So I'm growing by 4 this time. There we go. Okay. Now something like this. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then added on another 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and finally add on another 4 here. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and yeah, then we'll graph it on out. Okay, so anyways, it'd be nice, and I don't give you a bunch of space here. It'd be nice if you label the axes here too. But now you're just finding these points. Okay, so if I go here, you got to go all the way up to 18. Well, that's a little bit hard because this only goes up to 15 right here. So here I'd scale by twos: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So again, this only went to 15, but I had to get to 18 to graph it. They're kind of showing here. So if I went to 15, 18 is a little higher. So what do? I'll scale by twos instead of by ones. But I think if I'm only going to 4 here, I can go by threes here. So 1, 2, 3. You just want to be able to see as much of the graph as possible. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now I graph it on out. Okay. When x is 0, here's my origin. X-axis is 0. Y-axis is 0 right here. So I go to when x is 0, y is 2. So there's my first point I can plot down right there. And here I got 1, 6 is another point. Here this is 2, 10, another point. Here, this is 3, 14. So when x is 3, we go up here to 14 for y. When x is 4, we go up here to 18. I actually didn't even show 18, but 18 is a little bit higher, right? 2 higher than that is 18, and then we're good to go. Okay, and there is my points that I'm going to graph, and might as well draw it on. It is linear as well, so we'll draw it here. And I got my graph, okay? So again, summarizing the growth, I go up 4 every 1 over. Look, I go from 2 to 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. So this is a change of +4 for every 1 tile increase. Okay, 6 to 10. Look, 6 to 10, I increase by +4. Every single time my tiles increase by +1. Go from 10 to 14. Look, 10 to 14, I increase by 4. Every single time my number of tiles increase by 1. So this is my description of the growth on the table, what I want to analyze this thing growing. Okay, and there's my growth. Here, my growth is here, here, and here. Those are all the, oh, wait, I missed one here. I missed the row. Growing by +4, you're kind of growing by a lot. There we go. There's my new guys. So here, this whole tile pattern was down there. These are my 4 more. Cool. And last thing is starting numbers here. Look, 2. There's my starting number right there. Yeah, 0, 2. Y-intercept down right there. And y-intercept is the 2. as I had there in my equation. Okay, thanks guys for watching. We'll get a lot of practice with this. We do a lot of this in chapter 2 specifically. So sort of what's coming up in the textbook. Message me if you have any questions. Hopefully you picked up something from this and sort of getting the flow of things here at the beginning of the year. Take care, guys. Bye.